So when we are interacting with our machine, so we have basically these three important things, that we have our program, and our program when runs, it takes input. So it takes input through standard input, which is given by keyboard. It gives output to through standard output, which is displayed on the terminal. And if some error occurs, then also it gives us standard error. Okay, that is, this way, this is the pictorial representation of this program for any program actually. Okay, so now we come to the output stream, then we will discuss input stream, then we will discuss standard error, like that. Okay, which we have used. So for outputting out, to give the output uh, of the variable, we need to first include this thing, because we haven't written anything, we are just using. So we need to provide information to our computer, that from where it should use that function which will help us to perform these operations of printing data or taking input from the keyboard. So they all are defined in stdio.h. So it is our first and prior responsibility to first include the stdio.h. If we do not include it, then it will create problem. It will give the output that printf statement is not defined or declared. So this is the format of this printf statement, where you will write printf, then whatever is between these two double quote, it will be printed as it is. And if you write %d in the proper sequence, the variable will be printed. Okay, it will not be like that you are writing here %d and then c will be printed. No, this %d is corresponding to this a, this %d is corresponding to this b, and this %d is corresponding to this c. So you have to understand which sequence, in which sequence you are giving these values, and in which sequence they will be printed, like that. So if successful, the total number of characters written. So it returns values which are called number of characters it has printed. Okay, and this is called %c is called conversion specifier, or single character, which we also call access specifier, like that. So if you have some other things to print, then you can also do these things. So if you want to print single character, then you will use %c. If you want to use signed decimal integer, then you will use %d. Okay, if you want to use hexadecimal number, for example, your value is stored in variable and you automatically want to print it in hexadecimal format, so then you will use %x and it will print automatically hexadecimal of that value. If you want to print in decimal for floating point number, then %f, which we have used. If you are using scientific notation, if you want to use in scientific notation a power of something like that, floating point values, then you will use %e. If you want to use character string, which we will discuss in coming part, then you will use %s. Automatically the entire string will be printed. If you want to print unsigned decimal integer, then you will use %u. U mean unsigned. Unsigned means it is automatically positive value. If you want to print this sign, sometimes it happens, then you will use this double %. If you want to print long, then you will use long in ld. If you want to print long, then you will again use ll. Like that you can continue with it. So this is the way that you want to take information from memory and print it on the terminal. So these are the things, specifiers, which we will using automatically according to your requirement. So this is the program which you can see that here I have taken 4 type of values: character value, float number, integer number, double number. Okay, so if you see it properly, then you will see that I am following all the naming conventions which I have discussed with you. If you read this program, you can easily understand for what purpose I have written this program. Okay, so this way you should always follow your neat and clean programming practice, so that other person who is reading your program or evaluating your program understand what is the reason for writing anything, because everything has a reason in programming language. You cannot do anything without reason. So here you have char value, which I have taken initialized as a, character, float number 10 point, this integer value, double number. So if character value I want to print, then I am using %c. If float number I am using, then I am using %f. If integer number I am using %d. and then if I want to print it at a long double, then LF, and then integer number with conversion, then O, then as a hexadecimal number, then this one. Is the output available, displayed to everybody? Is it? So you can see that if we run this program, then we will get this output. Character is A, float value is this one. As we have discussed, it is also appending these three values, because all the float values which you print, they will be 6 decimal next to the float your decimal point. Integer value 150, double value is 20.127, because already there are 6 values, so it is just printing them. And then you have octal value. O means octal value, so it is printing this 150 ka jo octal value hai, that will be 226, so it is printing automatically. Okay, you don't need to convert it mathematically, just use this number and then it will print it. If you want to print hexadecimal, then you use %x, and it will automatically convert 150 into hexadecimal equivalent of this 150, and it will be 196, that is printed. So this is the way in which you use these access specifiers and other things.